Let's get the facts straight.
As many of you know, on March 7, 2023, Mike, a blind veteran, was invited to check out the Bay County Vet Center in Florida. After speaking with Aislynn on the phone, he was assured that, while they do offer acute care options, they don't call the cops or security on a veteran in crisis. Many veterans understand that the standard mental health questionnaire is not very clear, and seems that it may have dangerous repercussions if they answer too honestly. So finding out ahead of time whether or not your counselor practices compulsory treatment seems wise. Aislynn was pleasant, and told Mike he could just walk in, and the lady at the front desk would help him fill out the necessary paperwork to get started. Unfortunately, it seems as though it was all a trap. If you missed that video, please pop over to the Vet Center playlist and get caught up. If you've already checked it out, you may want a refresher after hearing this video and the next one. We put in records request with the Lynn Haven Police Department and received Aislynn Thatcher and September Sims's sworn police statements. Here's Aislynn's.
Caller contacted Vet Center at approximately 1:48 p.m. and asked about services offered. I discussed mental health services offered to veterans, active duty, and their family members. I informed caller the services can be offered at the individual and group level. Caller asked how to initiate services. Counselor informed caller to bring verification of service documents such as a DD-214, military ID, or VA ID. I informed caller that the documents can be processed along with the collection of demographic information and a risk assessment. Caller asked about risk assessment and was informed the assessment covered mental health risks such as suicidal ideation, PTSD screening, and Warwick Depression Scale. Caller inquired about crisis services for individuals who are assessed as high risk. I informed caller that some crisis services are available same day through Vet Center, and also informed caller about inpatient acute care available through Emerald Coast Behavioral. Caller asked, is VA police on the premises that will force a client into acute treatment? I assured caller that there is security for the Vet Center. However, acute treatment is typically not mandated, and often a crisis can be mitigated through supportive services. Caller inquired about a disability coordinator to assist him as covered under the Section 504 federal regulations. I stated, am a new hire and unsure of the disability accommodation services offered at the district level. Caller reported needing assistance with filling out paperwork and a visual interpreter for all subsequent services. I reiterated that I could find out what accommodations could be made for this request. I assured caller that assistance with paperwork could be provided by PSA or available counselor. Caller asked if PSA had training on sensitive information, and I replied with an affirmative. Caller recited VA Handbook Article 5975.6, which requires all VA facilities to provide accommodations requested. I informed caller that she would be happy to investigate the available accommodations and regulations and return contact once found. Caller provided the name Mike and callback number of...
No, he didn't.
Caller ID on the phone at the Vet Center confirmed this number and identified the caller as Michael. Call ended appropriately at 1:56 p.m. Immediately after call, I reached out to my colleagues at Vet Center to inquire about disability coordinators. I then contacted VA Patient Advocate for information on disability accommodations. Patient Advocate Heather Kennedy informed me of the caller's previous disruptive behaviors, including antagonizing VA personnel and recording without consent for his YouTube channel. Patient Advocate stated she believed the caller is not an imminent threat to Vet Center personnel and instructed me to contact law enforcement agency if caller enters premises with recording devices or becomes disruptive. Patient Advocate encouraged me to create a DBR. At approximately 2:20 p.m., I informed September and Carol of this information and told them to be aware that he has a history of disruptive behavior. This individual arrived at Vet Center at approximately 3:58 p.m. Individual is a white male with a brown beard wearing sunglasses, shorts, flip-flops, a baseball cap, and a T-shirt. Individual was holding a cane used by people with visual impairment and multiple recording devices. I was notified by Carol that individual was in VC lobby and refusing to leave. I entered lobby and heard caller accusing September of stealing his equipment. September was standing in the main entrance doorway holding the caller's recording device, asking him to leave the premises. The individual had a female accomplice standing near their van in the parking lot, also recording the altercation. I called the police at 4 p.m. and they arrived at 4:04. Carol recorded part of his interaction with September prior to the police arriving. When police arrived, individual stated he was the victim of theft. Police spoke with Carol, myself, and September and was informed that the individual was being disruptive and refused to leave. I informed police officer that he had called prior to coming, and that is why we recognized him. Police handed the individual his personal recording device and stepped outside to update the other officers of the current situation. At that time, the individual stood up from his seat in the lobby and quickly approached September. The individual was asked numerous times to take a seat and to stop approaching. Individual raised his voice to state that he is in a public place and he can record, as is his right under ADA. Carol, myself, and September felt threatened by his demeanor and tone of voice and stepped into the front office and locked the door. Individual proceeded to knock on the door and loudly demand services. Individual then walked around to the window and incessantly knocked on the window to demand an answer. Police re-entered the building and began taking our personal information and statements. Officers were with the individual in the lobby as we gave our statements in the front office. Carol called VA police and spoke with CPL Godfrey. Carol spoke with VCD, then I spoke with VCD. We stayed in the front office until the individual was escorted out the front door. Officers escorted individual out of the building at approximately 4:32 p.m., and Carol immediately locked the door. Individual stood in front of main entrance for 20 minutes with officers and refused to provide identifying information. At this time, we went to September's office to talk with VCD on phone. After phone call ended with VCD, we went in the lobby and the individual was gone from premises. An officer informed us that he could not be charged with trespassing as he refused to give identifying information.
How many lies did you hear? Stay tuned for September's version.
Thanks for watching. De oppresso, liber.